Close your eyes and go back to the 2000s. Whether you were living in India or in New York, there is a very high chance that you owned a Nokia phone. Remember the snake game that we all played and were glued to for hours? So Nokia was not just a product, it was a cultural phenomenon. By 2007, Nokia was a hit. It had sold over 450 million phones and was having 40% market share in the phone industry. The Nokia 1100 became a super hit phone wherein 250 millions of those phones were sold. Nokia's valuation soared to $150 billion, much more than Apple and Microsoft. Nokia was the first company to launch in phone, the next generation technology, which was going to change the entire course in which a person could communicate to another person. In June 2007, when Apple launched its first iPhone, Nokia still had 50% of the consumer base for phones. For the longest time, the young leadership of Nokia was doing pretty well. They had a strong base in the market and the customer satisfaction was at its peak. But everything changed in 2010. 90% of the customers who were choosing Nokia were no longer buying Nokia phones. Instead, were buying other phones that were surging into the market. What happened to Nokia? They were the market leaders. They had everything, be it finances, the right people, market fit, the amazing product. Still, this company failed. Nokia tried to make a comeback, but by then the competition had overtaken them and they were so far away that the ones that started the entire phone revolution is now no longer part of the race. What happened to Nokia? What are the different reasons behind the downfall and why it is very, very important to focus on the founder's mindset? Because if you see, most of the company's successes is because of the founder's mentality, and the failures also is because of the lack of implementation of the founder's vision and the founder's mindset within the organization. In the previous two videos, we discussed how being a founder plays a critical role in the success of the company. In this video, we're going to learn if we do not implement the founder's mindset in the right sense, how the company can completely crumble and fall. Nokia had everything, yet it failed because of not having the right founder's mindset. Nokia had it all except for the founder's mentality, which was not put in the right place. My name is Vandana. I am the founder of Happy Lab. Today's video, we are going to be discussing about the 5 lessons that we can learn from Nokia's downfall and how it is very, very important to implement the founder's mindset from the very beginning of the company's successes. At Happy Lab, we offer founders therapy. Now, what is founders therapy? It is a therapy that is designed specifically for a founder by a founder. When your company is growing, there are a lot of challenges that you face. Systems and processes plays a very pivotal role in the success of a business. But at the same time, for long-term growth, it is very important that the internal structure of the company is following the founder's mindset. We at Happy Lab are going to be with you to ensure that the founder's mindset is deep ingrained in your company so that no matter how big you grow, your company is going to be in safe hands as long as the founder's mindset is being followed. Now, what is founder's mindset and how you can know more about it? So don't forget to check out the link in the description below. Now on to the video. So the first lesson that we can learn from Nokia is never rely solely on brand power. Nokia was the first company to launch in phones. So they kind of bridged the entire gap in communication for us. So it was a game-changing, innovative product. But when competition started to notice the potential in the phone industry, they too started to launch their own smartphones. Apple was the first one to actually give a strong competition to Nokia. They launched the smartphone that was so innovative that the consumer started to realize that the entire smartphone industry can have a huge shift. Nokia, on the other hand, did not anticipate such a big future for the smartphone. And they constantly believe that they had a loyal consumer base, so they do not have to innovate something because they felt that their software and the consumer loyalty is going to help them to move ahead into the entire phone industry. But what they fail to notice is that the consumers, their demands, their needs can definitely change, and it is very important for any company to adapt to these changes and not hold on to the previous successes. Yes, Nokia was pretty successful and it was doing quite well, but it failed and it underestimated the competition. So being the industry leader is alone not going to get you success. Definitely it is going to get you a very good push, a very good reach and a good target consumer base. But if you have to survive, it is very, very pivotal to understand the changing needs of the market and to closely be in relationship with your customer. A lot of companies, as soon as they start to grow big, they only focus much on the management aspect of it and completely go out of sync with what the consumer wants. So for any company, it is important to have the founder's mindset. Now, what is this founder's mindset? So for any founder, when they start the firm, there is a strong burning desire to ensure that their product or service is having a good market fit. So in order to have this good market fit, they ensure that they have a constant rapport with the consumers. So when they are constantly in rapport with the consumers, what happens is that you design a product that is made specifically for your consumers and they are completely happy and satisfied. But as the companies grow, we don't innovate that much. We innovate majorly for the prices, but not for the quality and the requirements of the consumers. So for any company to stand longer in the game, it is important that you constantly be in touch with what the consumer wants. So this was one thing that Nokia failed. The second lesson that we can learn from Nokia is to have a good marketing strategy. So when the smartphone industry began, Nokia was the monopoly. So they basically felt that their product was already so popular and the ringtone that Nokia had was so catchy that they felt that they had captured the entire market. But when the competition came, like Apple and Samsung, they started to create such innovating marketing campaigns that it kept the consumers hooked. So they started to launch their flagship phones, they started to launch in a new phone every single year, and they created a huge event for this particular phone. And the launch of these phones were announced few months prior so that it creates a complete buzz for the consumers and they kept anticipating what are the new features that these phones are going to have. So this is something that Nokia did not do. They had a wonderful product, but they did not market it well. They did not position it well after the initial success. So when the competition came, they started to position themselves in such a way that the consumers were able to recall these brands much more quicker as compared to Nokia. So it is very important for any company, when you are launching any product, how are you going to market it? How are you going to make the consumers aware about your product? And what is it that you're going to make them to buy your product or service? This is a very, very key aspect of it. So no matter how big your company gets, it is important that you always have a good marketing strategy and position yourself in such a way that the consumers can easily find you and can utilize the product and service that you're launching and can give you the feedback so that your firm can actually move ahead in the ladder amidst all the competition around you. So Apple did something incredibly brilliant with their marketing strategy. They created an ecosystem that completely hooks the consumers. So along with the smartphones, they launched in earpods, iPod, Mac, then even smartwatches. So what happens over here is if the consumer buys one of the products of Apple and they really like it, there are a very high chance of them getting pulled into the ecosystem. So for example, I have a Mac. That was the first way I actually got introduced to the entire Apple ecosystem because of the processing and the speed in which my work could get done. So since I already have the Mac, I felt that it will be better if I have my iPhone, as it is much more easier in compatibility as compared to an Android phone. So if you notice over here, they are slowly pulling you to their ecosystem. So this was a brilliant strategy by Apple, and because of which Apple products have become so increasingly popular that Nokia, even after its relaunch, they couldn't capture the market because they do not have a proper ecosystem. They did not think about the future the way in which Samsung and Apple had thought about when they launched their smartphones. The lesson 3 that we can learn from Nokia is that as a company, you need to be internally strong if you have to survive. So if you look at the founder's mindset, as I was talking about, 90% of the companies fail because of lack of internal structure. So when the company is small, everything is very well communicated. The entire team is in sync with what is happening. But as the team expands, what happens is that the top level management makes most of the decisions and the lower management is not that aware about what the top level management is doing. There is a lot of lack of communication and the entire information is not passed on. So if entire information is not passed, then the lower level management who actually has a direct contact with the consumers are not able to do their job in complete efficiency. So what happens is that the consumer's demands are higher. So since the lower level management is not aware about a lot of things, they tend to overpromise and underdeliver. And when the lower level management goes to the upper management to ask resources or requirements, or sometimes even criticize what the upper level management is doing based on the consumer feedback, the upper management does not really hear. So this is what happened to Nokia. So even though there were a lot of innovative ideas that was being pushed forward to the top level management, they were resistant to change. They felt that they had a strong consumer base and they did not have to change the core basic principles. So they kept rejecting and pushing the lower level management to sell the same product again and again. And since the lower level management could not do it, they ended up using the sales strategy of overpromising and underdelivering. This led to a lot of customer dissatisfaction in the later half of 2007. And once slowly Nokia started to decline, the middle level management and the senior level management were actually interviewed to understand what really happened in Nokia. And most of them said that they were all paralyzed with fear because they could not understand what was happening around, and they tried to replicate what was comfortable to them. And they were literally shunning the down level management to whatever feedbacks and suggestions that they were putting in. And they were just asking them to push the same product again and again. So if you notice over here, the internal management was completely in confusion. They did not have a proper structure and process. Although everything technical was going on well, but each of the managers or the middle level managers were not in talking terms, as they did not know what was really happening, and they felt there was a lot of secrecy that was being maintained within the management, which led to the eventual downfall of Nokia. So what we can learn from over here is that it is important to be transparent and to be open to criticism and listen to what the lower level management is actually wanting us to say, because they are the ones who are in constant touch with the consumers. So it is important to listen to the critics and also at the same time adapt to the changing requirements of your consumers. The fourth lesson that we can learn from Nokia is listen to your consumers. So again, Nokia was a little bit proud because they felt that they were the ones who started the entire phone culture. So they felt that the consumers will be loyal to them, and no matter what happens, they're going to buy the phone from Nokia. But what they failed to understand is that the consumers actually did not have any much idea about the smartphone industry when Nokia launched. So it was amazing and wonderful for them. But when Apple showed the possibilities of the smartphones, lot of consumers were opened to the opportunities and potential that the smartphone held. So they actually urged Nokia to build a phone that is going to help them to tap into all of these opportunities. But Nokia was not that flexible back then. They were adamant about their model and structure, because of which, in fact, the downfall of Nokia happened. Apple and other industries, they were completely focused on giving the maximum output to their consumers, and they were future oriented, because of which it led to their successes. And even today, Apple is one of the companies which are providing us with smartphone. They have launched their 16th version of iPhone. So it is very important for any company to listen to the management in the lower level, and at the same time listen to the consumers and try to innovate products. So even though you have a particular product that has been working very well, it is important to look at the future as well. If you do not look at the future and the trends that is going to come up, you will not be able to survive in this cutthroat market. The fifth lesson is actually in continuation with the fourth lesson. You must stay ahead of the trend and focus on the future plans. So if you notice over here, Nokia was actually a beautiful hardware company, but they did not have that many people who were good with the software. So if you noticed in iPhone, what was the differentiating factor was they wanted to completely utilize the software aspect of it. They felt that the iPhone was actually like a mini computer device that could be held in the hand. But to Nokia, they still saw Nokia phones as just phones. They did not think about the future possibilities and capabilities that the phone could hold. But Apple saw that. And when they launched App Store, it created a plethora of opportunities for many industries, and they could all be associated to iPhone. So it created a market space for all the different apps that could be downloaded in your phone. And if you notice the design of the iPhone, it was pretty broad in nature. So you could actually see the icons and see the functionalities of your phone in a much clearer manner. These were certain stark differences between the iPhone and the Nokia phone. So since Nokia was not following up to the trend, they did not see the big picture of the potential that they had created, they were left far, far behind. So if you notice, Nokia, the entire production and processes was dependent on the hardware engineers. But in iPhone, they were completely dependent on the software aspect of it. So they created things wherein the entire potential of the smartphone could be changed. So this was another stark difference. So if Nokia would have identified this and adapted to the changes, then definitely they could still be in the race of the smartphone. But since they did not pivot at the right time and did not notice the trends that was happening around them, they were not able to move ahead in the race, even though they were the market leader once upon a time. So from all of these things, it is very important to note that at times, businesses, you would be the first mover, the innovator, and could have changed the complete direction of your industries, products and services. But it is important that you stick to it. And if you have to stick to it, we need to look past the successes and focus on what are the different potential and possibilities that this particular revolution can create to the consumer market. So all of this is what we will be discussing in our Founders Mindset program. So this program is specifically created to focus only on the emotional and the long-term aspects of your firm, not just the processes and systems and the psychology behind building your firm and making it last for a very long period of time. Hope this video was helpful and informative for you. Don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. So we will be discussing more such case studies and learning from founders and how we can use their characteristics and mindset in building our businesses. How psychology plays a brilliant and an important role in shaping your firm's future. So all of this is what we will be learning and discussing in my channel, and I can't wait to share the next case study with you all soon. Thank you for watching.